I like to think we're friends. We're going to find out. I'm going to ask him what he thinks about our friendship.
That could go two different ways.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to talking to him. Man, there's this sort of part of his life that just doesn't get a lot of publicity, or I don't know anything about it. But it's how he got into racing, right? All I know about Bobby is he just popped on the scene in the Xfinity Series in the mid-'90s, and it was on from there, right? Wins the Xfinity Series championship, goes on to become a NASCAR Cup champion. But what happened before that? I mean, there's pictures of him on Terry Labonte's crew, like working pit stops. There's some random pictures of him in front of a late model car, and apparently he won a track championship at Caraway Speedway. And I want to learn all about that. What's his journey? I'm very curious. So we're going to get into that. But first, man, let's just get to talking about what's been going on in the sport or everybody's lives. We had an Xfinity race this weekend. Rough day for junior motorsports. Oh, man. We have great speed, man, but it's like I don't even know. I don't want to say that. I mean, some of the stuff I can see how what we're doing is kind of avoidable now. You know, you can't help but when something breaks on the car or whatever. And Justin was going for it at the end. He did everything he could to try to put himself in position to try to win that race and take one away from Cindric, but it didn't work out. You know, he gets into the fence off turn 4, right? Gets out of the car, has a great post-race interview. I was really happy with that. Stayed positive and sees like the potential in the team. This is Allgaier I'm talking about. Josh Berry, he's kind of our latest project. Yeah. He gets wrecked or wrecks himself, however you want to view it. I mean, he's on the outside of Ferrucci through turn 3 and 4, and it seemed to be the thing. Like I seen Cindric and a bunch of other people. Cindric kind of did the same thing to Allgaier at the end of the race, where he takes the PJ1 and says, "Man, I got to do this to win the race." Now, you know, they were racing for the win. Josh and Ferrucci weren't, but Ferrucci really kind of just took the lane away from Josh. Josh gets in the marbles, hits the fence, and he had a great car. He'd run up to 3rd place in the race, but he gets out and flips the bird.
Two of them.
2 birds, whatever. Yeah.
You know, the wheel-powered double bird.
I told Josh, I said, "Man, you've been wrecked before. You know how to act, and this ain't it."
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people, you know, are like, "I love the passion. Get them. Team Josh," right? I get that too. But here's the thing. Like, you want – Josh is trying to become imprinted in people's mind, right? And he ran a great race, had a lot of speed, right? Up to 3rd place at one point. Yes, the result was bad. But if he gets out of the car and walks away to regroup for the next race, all people remember is, man, what could have been? He was so fast. But now, all they remember is the double bird and nothing at all really about the performance on the track. And I just don't want him to divert people's attention away from what's really important, and that is that he's fast, that he can do this, and that given more opportunities, which we're trying to get for him, he could have great success. So, but anyways, what's done is done. Hope they can just go back and regroup. There was, Atlanta's a great track, I think, for Josh because the surface is kind of worn out, and a lot of the racetracks that he competes on in late model stocks is kind of similar. So maybe he'll find some comfort and similarities in what he's been doing and what he's going to do this weekend that'll help him find some speed. But just a great track. Phoenix is a great track for us. We always got speed there. Maybe that's where I should run my race. Uh-oh. You know, I try to run where I think we're going to be good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that factor into where I'm going to run.
Yeah. So. You want it to be perfect.
Well, you'd love that.
Boy, if there's so much as a bump on that track, he's not going to race there.
Well, I don't like bumps.
I know you don't.
No. Not the big giant ones.
Right. Well, no, for real, though. I mean, in all seriousness, I'm joking, but the fact of the matter is that there's reasons why bumps and your history of concussions don't really match well together. So right. I wouldn't want you on that bumpy track either.
That's right.
But so Phoenix, that may be an option for you. I love Phoenix.
Yeah. Phoenix it's a long way to go. That's the other thing too, man, is maybe not everybody thinks this way, but I used to be so miserable when we would go so far to race and have something like that happen to Josh, right? You go all the way out there and you can see that good result right there in front of you, and for whatever reason it doesn't happen, and now you're sitting in on the West Coast with a long ride home. And those trips I hated them for so many years. Eventually, I got to appreciate traveling and seeing part of the country. But when you're going out there really just laser focused on just racing a car, and you get a bad result, it makes for a miserable trip.
Hey, have you ever hung a double bird at anybody during a race,
Oh man!
or even a single bird?
So I've flipped people off, but I haven't.
The Red
gotten out of my
Sox
car
are going
and
for their
standing
5th win
clear
in as
down
many
on the middle-
games.
in the middle of the racetrack. And
Welcome
just
to
done
the
it right
ball
there
game,
in front of
folks. I'm Dwayne
God
Kuiper
and
alongside
national
Mike
television and
Rucco.
everyone else.
Should be a great game tonight between the Baltimore Orioles
that-
and the
I
Boston
remember
Red
a picture
Sox.
of you doing that sound.
And here's a look
I
at the
mean, I've flipped
defense.
people off before, but not in such a grand stage, right?
Maybe was it Robbie Gordon? Did you flip Robbie Gordon off?
Pit road.
On pit road?
Here's the game's first batter, Larry Bigby.
That's what it was. Right.
This
It was
lefty is
Moundy.
consistent in the batter's box as he
Yes. So that's okay. Pit road. I mean, probably the race was over.
I had someone in my face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm like that was the middle of the conversation.
Think about punching that. Not just giving the bird, but
No, I wasn't gonna punch this guy. He was huge.
yeah, don't punch him.
ball and make the play.
Bird sounds good.
I was lucky to get away with that. So there was a few other things too. So there's a lot of cool things going on with this Bristol dirt race, right? And I saw where Brad Keselowski went and ran a dirt race at some racetrack in Georgia, right? Really cool stuff like that. I'm jumping online to watch Brad race at this little track to see how he does, and you're hearing also about all these drivers that are going to run in the Truck Series at Bristol, whatever, right? So I guess Mark Truex Jr. is going to drive one of Kyle Busch's trucks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's cool things like that happening where these drivers are trying to jam pack in some like dirt experience. Right? One guy that really doesn't need it, and I think he could be under the radar for a lot of fantasy team owners in the Cup races around noon.
Yeah.
Guy has a pretty good amount of dirt track experience in his history. But he's teaming up with a very good friend of mine, Brad Means.
Oh, that's
Jimmy
cool.
Means' son. So I'm a
That's
big
right.
Jimmy Means fan. Me and Brad grew up together. Well, Brad's got a truck now. DCC Racing, I guess, is the name of this team. But him and Ryan Newman are going to pair up. I think Coca-Cola and Aggressive Hydraulics is coming on board to help those two form the race team to be able to compete. This will be my friend Brad's first effort in owning. His dad's been a long-time car owner, been a fixture in the sport for decades, and this will be Brad's first real effort behind owning a car or truck in the series. So I'm interested to see how that goes. If you want to pull for an underdog or a new team,
That's right. That race, that truck race is Saturday, March 27th.
it'll be number 39.
Number 39.
That's Ryan's familiar long-time number from back in the day.
Brad's so super pumped about this.
Yeah, you've been meeting Brad at the soccer field.
Yeah, our daughter's on the same soccer team tonight. He's just so excited about this. I mean, and so we've got a truck to pull for. That's good.
Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah.
Look at this, y'all.
What in the world?
Dirty Mo Media. Speaking of Bristol, Dirty Mo Media is going to be on a dirt car, one of those IMCA dirt modifieds. Y'all see this? How pretty is that?
That's all right.
They're racing this week. You know how the NASCAR folks
who
come
is
in
this
next
guy?
week. This guy's name is Peyton Taylor, and he's never been to Bristol, and this is his first week. They actually have a race tonight. Like these heat races start tonight, and then Wednesday, and then Friday is the feature. And there's 130 cars trying to make this final race, and he was top 10 practice speeds, getting it done. See how he races. But yeah, this is the Andrews Autosport car. My buddy Spencer Andrews, Collins Andrews, those guys just wanted that. They built this team, and Peyton Taylor gets it done. And I love this car. I want everybody. I want to put it on DirtyMoMedia.com, and Lee, you can social out. But we've got a dirt car to follow this week at Bristol, and we'll hope he does well.
I want to tell you about one of my favorite apps. It's a nice app.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
Finding new ways to stay in touch is more important than ever, and even though you're close by, you may not actually know your neighbors, right? Nobody really makes the effort, right?
I mean,
Everybody.
I got my own problems. I don't need to know theirs.
Yeah. Get connected, though, with those around you without ever leaving your home with Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a free app that securely connects verified neighbors, so you always know what's happening in your local area. You can post, read about the community in real time. Nextdoor is always relevant to where you live, and you can access it right from your phone. So people buy and sell items on there. Hey, man, I got this couch. I don't need it. You know, back in the day, a couple years ago, before Nextdoor, what would you do with this couch?
Yard sale, maybe? I don't know.
A whole yard sale for a couch?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, you put it on Nextdoor. I mean, in just a few minutes, somebody's like, "Yeah, that's a great deal. I'll take it.
Give me the couch." Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
for what I need." And right there in your neighborhood, and you can make connections with those people that are living around you. So I see a lot of that. A lot of people buying and selling, just household items.
Ladder, sprinkler.
No, not really, just furniture mainly.
Oh, is that all? Nobody's selling a ladder?
People need ladders. Ladders don't go out of style like furniture.
Yeah. I was thinking about the needing part.
Okay. Well, you need to check it out. You'll see what I mean. So maybe you need a last-minute pet sitter.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, hey, there's even people offering babysitting.
That's actually pretty
Yeah.
good. I mean, the pet sitting's a legitimate thing.
So-
Going out of town.
So, I moved in, but we are in a new neighborhood. Well, I sold a vacation home and got another one, and we're in a new neighborhood. And, so like the neighbor 2 houses down, nice family. We know who they are, right? But she's like, hey, happy to watch anybody's kids. I ain't got nothing going on. My husband's retired, I'm retired. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. You can connect with interest groups. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what that means.
Well, like, maybe you're into
Knitting club.
maybe a poker club. Or
Hey, knitting club.
No,
First thing
that's the
that
first.
comes to Schultz.
Is that what you said, Schultz?
Yeah,
Knitting
knitting
club. Right? He had it right there.
I get it. Now I know what connecting with interest groups are. You can hear recommendations for local businesses. I see that a ton. I need a roofer. I need a good plumber.
That's in the air foul, but it should stay in
And
play.
man,
Casey,
I have
that's
even
in foul territory.
joined in on a couple of those conversations. Right. I got a solo stove, right?
Okay.
I put this out in the yard. I made a little fire pit and all that
Fastball for a
in
strike.
front of my house. Neighbor, I don't know
Yeah.
where she's at, a couple of blocks down the street.
Westbrook
She's
delivers
like,
the
hey,
ball, and it's 1-1.
outdoor fire
This
pit.
right-hander
I
has 2
need
pitches
some
against
recommendations,
Tom.
and
Throwing
everybody's
anything.
pitching in. I pitched in my idea. Hey, I
Down
don't know where
low
she
for a
went,
ball.
what she did, but I was like, I feel like
You feel like you're part of the conversation.
interweaving myself into this
Hitters
community.
count.
Right. Maybe you affected their thought process. Yeah. Who knows?
It was really cool. They also share safety information.
3-2
I don't know
count.
what's going on in the community, and you'll learn a lot about what's happening. If you're in a newer community or you just haven't really spent time trying to really understand what the community's about, what people living around you, you get a good vibe. You get the vibe. But Nextdoor is a great way to understand, what's going on and what people are interested in. There's a guy just a couple blocks away that feeds the homeless, and he puts these coolers out by his. The house is really close to the street, and he puts these coolers out in front of his house, and he says, "Hey, anybody want to help feed the homeless? Drop some stuff in these coolers. They're out there, and I'll take care of the rest."
Good dang, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
He's on his way
That
to
really is
third.
cool.
really, really cool. So you'd never know what those coolers were sitting on the side of the road for. You didn't even have next door.
That's awesome.
The next door, you can even count on your neighbors to help with need-to-know situations, timely weather concerns, local updates, changes inside your community. For everything that's happening, there's Nextdoor, the free neighborhood hub. Go to nextdoor.com/Dale Jr. to sign up and see what your neighbors are talking about. Be sure to use the link to sign up so that they know that you support our show. That's really, really important. That's nextdoor.com/Dale Jr. to join your neighborhood today. Don't forget to tell them who sent you by going to nextdoor.com/Dale Jr.
And it's 1-1.
Final lap for Bobby Labonte.
This young man from Corpus Christi, Texas, and the driver's pulling up to congratulate Bobby Labonte on his first ever win.
Bobby Labonte, what's it feel like to win your very first Winston Cup race?
It feels great.
Here comes Bobby Labonte.
Checkered flag is down, and the winner is Bobby Labonte.
The battle up front is an intense one. Bobby Labonte has grabbed the lead.
Bobby Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas, wins the 7th Brickyard 400.
This is one of those races that you dream about.
Earnhardt goes in high. That's going to leave some room for Labonte on the bottom.
They come toward the line. Who will it be?
Bobby Labonte is the NASCAR Winston Cup champion for 2000.
Junior gets a little bobble up there. Gives Bobby Labonte a run on him.
Junior ducks low. Labonte's got the outside lane as they head for turn 3. Bobby's got the run to the outside. They squeeze. He passes Dale Earnhardt Jr. with 2 laps to go. And Bobby Labonte wins.
Outrunning Junior there at the end. I tried to block him, but he wouldn't let me do that.
Hey! What's happening? You're moving a little slow. Are you a little sore? No? I don't believe it. Well, I know you clipped the pit wall yesterday, so
Quick reaction.
well, have a seat. Come on, sit down. I want to talk to you all about it. Super pumped to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for reaching out.
You've been on the list for a long time.
Wondered if it was ever going to happen.
Full crap.
People say that sometimes. I hope we're not offending anybody. Don't do it one at a time. You've been on the list a long time, though. That's a fact.
At least I'm on the list. That's great.
We have a long note. We have a long list of names, and I put little green check marks or something, some sort of identification beside the ones that mean the most to me. And you've had a green check mark for about a year now. I'm like, oh, Mike, let's go.
You're not just a list member. You're a green check mark list member.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
you're
cool.
like you're an emphasized name on the list. But
Awesome.
man, I have.
Great to see you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. We've sort of crossed paths a few times on the internet.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. That's true. It's not the same, though.
Yeah, racing a little bit online, which I want to talk about that a little bit with you at some point. But first off, man, yesterday you ran at Caraway in a modified, and I know this isn't your first modified race, but this is kind of news to a lot of people. So
Yeah.
why are you racing in modifieds?
Why not?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever run one?
I haven't.
Well, if you did, you'd be racing them too.
Really?
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you. They're awesome. And so we started off the year yesterday and qualified third, started first, and was running third on the last lap. Got about 100 yards to the start-finish line and got clipped. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's fun. Those cars are great. You get a good feel for it, and I just enjoy it. I mean, and you can go back, as you know, to a short track, and you can see the fans and kind of work out the back of your hauler, like with the toolbox, and you got a 30-foot trailer, fifth wheel. It's kind of cool, you know what I mean? So I just love racing, and that's just, heck, I was home in 20 minutes too. That one helped. But so yeah, just a lot of fun, and just really enjoy racing, and those cars are fun to drive, and got a great car to drive.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't know. I mean, I find that to be so fascinating when guys like you, or myself, or Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. I mean, speaking of Tony with his new series coming out that I think you're going to be a part of. Like Ricky Rudd, he disappeared. Yeah. Right? He got out of a cup car, and we never saw him again till I never saw him again until I brought him on the show.
Sure.
And a lot of people, miss those kind of guys when they move away from racing and disappear like that and go do whatever it is they do. But other people like yourself pop up somewhere at a racetrack, and it's just really amazing to be able to kind of see their heroes still at it and doing well. I mean, you sit on the pole. Well, you qualified third fastest, I believe. The invert put you on the pole, led some laps, ran up front. So it's a competitive car, and you're like all in. You're gonna run the whole season in the Smart Tour and against some of the toughest competition in modified racing. So it's just interesting to me that you would take such a big bite out of something like that. I guess there's parts of you that I don't quite understand. I've known you a really, really long time, but you're sort of you and your brother both are really mysterious in ways. So trying to learn a little bit more about you today. So,
well, I'll try not to let out too much.
Well,
that's our game plan.
It is, yeah. Stay mysterious.
But I'll to that, Dale, I'll say is that I grew up. When you grow up racing in a racing family, and it's in your blood, and you want to go back and do that. I mean, like yesterday was just total fun until about 100 yards to the end. You know, I mean, it was awesome. So I just love doing that. And, you know, I think that's just, you know, it's not for everybody. Right? But
how hard was it?
As far as like my heart rate hard?
Competition tough.
Oh, yeah, competition is, it's intense. You know, I mean, it's racing every lap. So, and that you know, that is, yeah, that's huge. I mean, you know, you just love doing it because you know, and you want to be competitive in it. But, you know, I do other things that are in the sport that aren't driving. You know, you're still involved, and you know, so doing that. So it's in my blood. I mean, I can't just drop off. And
you look amazing. Like health-wise, you don't seem like you slowed down any.
Well, I'll give you a hint. I try to act 25, but I definitely don't feel 25 anymore. But I try to maintain as much as you can, and be sharp or be healthy and fit and as much as you can, and so when you go do stuff like you did yesterday, I woke up at 5 o'clock, just kind of hanging out, just normal deal. So it felt good. I feel good about it.
All right, so we were kind of joking about are you sore, but do you can run these races and don't feel it the next day?
No.
Okay, and then the second question, you got clipped. This stage in your life, you've been there, done that. Does that ever get your blood boiling? I mean, if you get clipped 100 yards from the finish line, even that kind of pisses me off. And I wasn't there.
I know.
Yeah. I probably let it get to me a little bit more than I should have. Put it that way. I was upset. Yeah, it is.
You were upset.
I was mad, or I was upset. And I hate it because, crew guys, people work on the farm. It's just what they do. It's all they do.
How bad it hurts car?
I'll go by seeing here a little bit. I don't think it hurt it too bad. But it's you're competitive. If you're just trying to finish third and not trying to win, why do it? Right?
Yeah, that's the tough part. I think would be. Like I have in my head this daydream of racing late model stocks and going back into that world and playing, right? And man, it sounds fun, and I remember it as some of the funnest racing I ever did back in the 90s. And boy, I just got this image of, or a vision of it being this awesome thing. But I guess what happens, or what I'd be worried about is getting competitive and making it frustrating and making it harder than it has to be. Just like we did when we were cup racers. How do you avoid that? Because I know you're trying not to make it go there, right? You're trying to go have a great time, enjoy it, and not let it become this quest, right? This frustrating quest. It's hard. Racing is.
Yeah, it's hard. You want to, because you want to win. I think that's. That's got to be the desire that you have, and if you don't have it, then maybe you shouldn't do that. And your fun level should be at a different level or different something else. But if you want to try to win at anything, then I think that's where it's at. But you do fall into that. You fall into that because that's what you want to do. So I'll take it. I'll take that because it's also for me is I need something to focus on. Because I get kind of wandered out there a little bit. So to focus on that is probably a good thing, even though it's kind of drives your life, in some ways. I probably don't need to do that, but at the same time, it really feels good.
You don't need to do what? Race?
No, I don't need to be wandering around, like with nothing to do, like a dart without feathers.
Right.
I need to be kind of focused on something.
Why modifieds though? I know you talked about the cars and all that, but like, how did you get connected to the team, the people that own this car? What steered you in that direction? Because you raced full body cars, late model stock cars, everything above that. How'd you get here? Just because you've never done it? Curiosity?
Well, it's funny. I used to work for Jay Hedgecock. You probably remember that. Hearing that story. And he had modifieds raced up on the grill all the time. And I'm like, why would you want to do that? It's like that was my path was a full body car.
Yeah.
Late model stock, right? Late model sports and late model stock. So I looked at him as like awkward to me. So anyway, believe it or not, Chris Williams. Of course,
Yes.
Chris.
Licensing souvenir Chris.
Yes. So he talked me into going to Bo McGray a couple years ago to help him test. He's running a car. I was like, "Are you running a car?" Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll go up there. I've never been there before. And it's only 15 minutes from my house. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. So I get up there. I paid $5 to get in. Took my helmet, fire suit.
Did you?
Yeah. So he ran a few laps. He said, all right, get in, try it. So I ran a few laps.
Sometimes you try to make a hit.
This is fun, And he said, you come back tonight? I said, I doubt it. I probably won't come back tonight. I'll stay home, watch TV, kind of feel like I don't, I'm not doing it, right? 6 o'clock, I said, I'll go back up there. So I paid $25 to get in. Now, I paid $5 to get in the first 12 o'clock thing. I paid $25 to get in, for the race. I saw 3 fights and a heck of a race. I thought, dadgummit, I called my dad. I said, that's the best $30 I spent in a long time. So that was kind of the hook. So I was hooked. So then I started going back up there with him. So I worked out a deal with the Myers, Bert, his dad, Jason, and drove one of their cars. And I don't remember, guy, Tony, I might have texted you, Tony Uri Jr.
Oh, yeah.
He was my crew chief and spotter that night. And
That's so fun.
So I told him after we got spun out one time in the infield and made it back out, we're cruising around there, and I'm like, dude, I can't believe I'm here, but there's 15,000 people in the grandstand. That's like awesome. I told him, I said, hey, I think I got a problem. He said, what's that? I said, the A-frame's loose. How do you know? I said, it's the first car I ever drove that I could see the A-frames. Because they're right there in front of you. I'm like, I think they're loose because I can see it. I just pulled off. So anyway, so that's kind of how it started. Okay, and then last year, nothing happened. COVID, we just didn't go up there and race. Not much happened. So towards the fall, Mike Smith, Andretti, and Terry Hall called me and they said, his brother John had COVID. Couldn't go to Florence. Would you want to come? I was like, yeah, I'll come. Let me think about it. So thought about it. Called him right back. Said, okay, I'll do it. Fit the seat. Seat fits perfect. I thought, all right, I'll go down there. So we went down there and, run good and finished fourth. And like, all right.
Yeah, Florence qualified on call. This is the end of last year.
You were there the day before
I
got there. Yeah, I think we stood by your hall and watched to see where the groove was. I didn't know where. I'd never been there before.
Right.
So anyway, qualified first, finished fourth. I was like, okay. So he's like, you want to do this some more? I'm like, I think this would be fun. Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. So I go back to Chris Williams. So like this weekend, Matt Hirschman won yesterday. And I mean, I knew his dad. I mean, when you go to Loudon, you go to different racetracks up in the north, Busch Car National, or for the Cup days. You always watch the modifieds race. It's the best racing.
Oh, it's amazing.
But I never had the opportunity to sit in one. And just I thought, well, I mean, it's a great feeder race, and it's awesome. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so that's kind of how the story goes as far as me getting in one and driving it, because I'm like, I got a break from my left foot. I've never done that before. There's a lot of things happening. I was like, okay, we'll figure this out. So
you're a right foot breaker?
I was probably one of the last guys.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I thought everybody knew that.
No.
Or nobody knew that.
No. Yeah. That's the mystery.
That's the mystery guy. Yeah.
Man, right foot breaker.
Yeah.
But is that unusual?
Well, it's just you grow up
Me
doing
and Dave Marcus.
Okay, so that's unusual.
I wouldn't look at that as like a like it's an old way of doing it. It's just another way of doing it. I don't know that it's a dated way of doing it. But some people literally drive the car with their left foot on the brake, ready to mash it when they want to. I do that. Dale Jarrett does that. The only reason I know that is because he's so tall and they'd stick him in those IROC cars that they told him in Talladega. He's the only one that had brake dust on his front tires, front wheels after about 10 laps because he was riding the brake. But some guys like Bobby will just put their left foot over on a rest and just use one foot. Yeah. Just slow the car down and go.
Don't ask me how or why. I mean,
it's just
I always assumed everyone did that.
No.
I didn't know
it's
that.
just a preference. It's the same as where you put your hands on the wheel.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
How you use the steering wheel.
So anyway, I had a lot of new things to learn. Anyway.
So you can't drive that car that way with one foot.
I figured that out after about half a lap. I was like, well, that's not going to work.
What was wrong with it? Why would that work?
It's too tight. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you just can't
the box down there is too small.
Yeah, you can't really do
like
it.
An Indy car or something down in there?
Kinda. It's pretty snug, and it's just like,
how the pedals are very close together.
Yeah, I don't need to ask. I'll just do it.
So how was that?
I'll just adapt.
I was learning that after decades of doing it one way.
Yeah.
Having to try to learn a new way.
Well, it wasn't easy to start with, but it was one of those things after it's like, okay, I did that. It's like, why didn't I do this 20 years ago?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. You think it's better?
Well, I mean, when
you're quicker.
Days are splitter in the splitter days,
yes,
and the valence days.
Oh, God,
you know what I mean? When you need it down,
control the splitter with your foot.
And probably
control it with the, or you can hurt what you're doing with the splitter with.
Anyway, it's just a funny, weird thing that I used to do.
Interesting. All right, so what we like to do in these conversations is, what I like to do is try to uncover some of the things that I don't know about you. There's a lot of stuff about you that I don't know. I see these pictures on the internet of you beside late model stock cars, and I see a picture of you pitting your brother's Piedmont Monte Carlo in '84 or '83 or something on the pit road at Rockingham. You got the suit and everything. So I want to know about your dad first.
Yeah.
All right. When I come into racing, and the first thing I remember of you is Daytona running with Dad. Everybody crashed. Brad Teague and everybody and Darrell. Everyone crashed in turn 3. And you and Dad ran that race nose to tail. It seemed like he's the only 2 cars left on the track, really.
Yeah.
But everybody, the whole race, had nothing to talk about other than you.
Yeah.
Right? Dad's leading. Who's this guy?
Yeah.
All right, this new guy, Bobby Labonte. Terry Labonte's brother. And they talked about your dad a lot, but that's the first thing I remember of you. I don't know where you came from, what you were doing before that.
Yeah.
I heard that your dad's I heard was a real heart. Right? Was that true? I heard that he was tough.
Yeah.
For you guys.
Yeah, he was. He was definitely tough. I mean, from racing quarter midgets to, I don't know. I kind of explained it as he's the toughest guy with the biggest heart that you'd ever know.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be tough on us. And the greatest compliment I think I could get or give him story is I was in Jimmy Makar and I are in a grocery store in Boone. And we had cabins up there for a while. And a guy come by and says, "Hey man, I really appreciate what you do, or appreciate about your, something about you, And I'm like, that's my dad and my mom, you know what I mean? That's really my dad. I mean, teaching you right from wrong. And all that. So, but he was hard, so he was hard on us, and he would, just push you or make sure you did the right thing, and get on you if you did the wrong thing. Kind of like you're supposed to be brought up or told, and learn lessons by some things. I mean, he wouldn't always tell us some things. You have to learn on your own.
Yeah.
But if you screwed up, you heard it. And at the same time, as time went on, it was funny. I'd call him every Sunday, and as time went on in life, he was always like, I don't care if you something happened, to say for the day. He said, I don't care if you turn around backwards the wrong way in the racetrack, I'd still say that everybody else did it wrong. So he was all about us.
Gotcha.
But he was hard. I mean, he was hard, and I mean, I remember, racing in a kid in a quarter midget, 5 years old. I mean, let's go practice. Let's go. When you won, it was great, and if you didn't win, it was okay. But if you messed up, you didn't.
You knew about it.
Kind of knew about it, yeah. I remember, I don't think Terry would tell the story. And I remember my dad being hard on my brother. So my brother was skipping school.
Oh, boy.
So you don't skip school.
No.
You don't skip school.
Yeah.
So he was skipping school. And I know there's more to the story, and he was looking after me because he was worried about me. But he skipped school. So my dad got on and made him run laps around the neighborhood. And the story is, of course, I don't know how this could have got stretched a little bit, but the story is my dad would sit there and wait for him to come by and kick him in the butt as he went by.
Yeah.
So I learned a little bit more from Terry. He wasn't as hard on me because I saw.
You saw what was possible.
He was harder on Terry. I dodged those moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I mean, he just wants things done right, wants people, the biggest thing is, I guess, when we were back in the Busch Car National days, I mean, there was people that, would come back years later always respecting my dad, even though he chewed them out. But, he did it in a way that...
Sounds a lot like one of your... He would chew you out.
Yes.
But you loved it.
Right.
Exactly. You're like, hey, I'll go to war with this guy.
I'm glad you said that, because I was trying to think of it. Hearing him describe his dad, I'm like, who would that be similar to? And is Tony Eury Sr. a good example?
Well, yeah, probably so. I mean, and, that's that generation, or that, they brought up that way. And,
what was your dad's history in racing, aside from work, taking you boys to the racetrack? What was his involvement in racing before that?
Well, he was born in Rumford, Maine, and so Oxford was his home track. Yeah.
I mean, the whole time I thought you guys were Texan.
Cowboys.
Deep roots. No, Maine.
Born in Rumford, Maine.
Yeah.
He was. So we go to Oxford. I mean, I think he skied on the ski team, ski jump, something like that.
What?
Growing up.
Jumping?
I think he did. Yeah. And so.
What ski team?
Snow ski.
No,
what
ski? No, like a team like the college? Yeah, college or a national?
I don't know
they
about
have
that.
ski clubs?
So curious.
Well, I don't know about
jumping.
that. Well, I just know the story is I remember a funny story on the side note is that the milkman would bring the milk jugs and the glass.
And he puts it away for the out.
I think that guy made it to the Olympics as a ski jumper. But, back in the day, they didn't train 24/7 to be a ski jumper. They just did them. So that's kind of there.
Wait, the milkman made the Olympics?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Mine is blown.
Yeah. Well, it's just a different world now.
It is.
So anyway, Rumford, so Oxford was his track. So I don't remember. I think he said he run a couple times there and is like, nah, better working on her. So anyway, so that was his deal. And then before Terry and I, when he went to the Navy, joined the Navy, Korean War, went overseas for 6 months, came back. He told me this the other day. He came back to somewhere in Maryland. They said, you're going to Corpus Christi. Or I think he had a choice to go to Kingsville or somewhere. So he chose Corpus. He's at the Naval Air Station, so he got hooked up with another guy. And the racetrack there is CC Speedway, so he started helping a mechanic. He was more of a mechanic.
Gotcha.
So he was mechanicking on a guy's 72 or 69 Torino, there in Torino, and on a short track there in Corpus. And it's funny as it says. I talked to one of my buddies on the way down here. That was his dad that he worked for back in those days. So Slick's moved to here, and so we're all still family. And Slick's known my family before I was born.
Yeah.
Type thing. So that was his deal. He was a mechanic, CC Speedway, and helped guys out, and the Dub Rollins and Jarrett Rollins, and those guys. Some couple of them went to Daytona and helped on a guy's car. And Al Yeomans that raced on the quarter-mile track every Saturday night.
Okay, so your dad's a mechanic, working hard at the racetrack, bringing that home. You guys are probably going with him.
You won't see this batter hitting the lights out against right-hand.
So, in my mind, fix all this for me. You got in my mind, I'm imagining, or just with the limited knowledge I have, you got a late start, right? Because I see you going to help your brother all the way up through into his Cup career. But I also see pictures of you driving late model cars around here in North Carolina. So, when did y'all leave Texas? When did that happen?
Had to be 1979. We packed up like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Because of Terry's career?
Yes. So Terry was racing in Corpus. It got barred from Corpus for fighting.
Hey, what?
Yeah, we had a couple of guys. They fought. We fought up. It was awesome.
Yeah, you were the crew guy.
I was not. I was just
Okay.
I was just kidding, man. I was in the grandstand watching.
So they ran the Labontes out of Texas.
Yeah, Corpus. No, well, not really. So we had to go to Houston to race, and that's where we met Billy Hagan, and kind of that story goes where he had the opportunity to come to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I was racing go-karts, but the family moved from Corpus Christi to Trinity, North Carolina. And so my dad went to work with the team that my brother was going to drive.
Really?
So that was in 79.
As a mechanic.
Yes.
What are you thinking? Like you're racing, right? Your kart.
I raced.
Did your dad let you know that you were going to keep racing?
Well,
or you left up in there like, oh, what's happening? Where am I?
Well, I mean, when you're 14, 15, I mean, nowadays it's different. You're going to race Millbridge or you're going to race somewhere else, right? At 12 in a late model, right? So at 12 or 14 then, what are you going to do? You're not really, you're not really, it's not that way.
They're not basing their decisions off of what your future is as a 14-year-old.
I know, but I'm trying to think about him in his mind. Like, it's just like anybody else. Like, I'm going to move from one state to the other. You got friends, you got school, you got all these worries, and he's racing. Is he hooked on racing? Is he thinking in his mind like, yeah, this is great. I'm excited to be going in my brother's future and all that. But what if I got friends. Am I going to get the race?
Yeah.
Do they have this kind of racing where we're going?
Yeah. Well, I had a go-kart. So we had a Yamaha. We had a McCullough motor on it, 93. So.
Do you remember the chassis?
How did we mark it? Yeah. That we marked it. Yeah. So we we move up here and we started racing at a
club. Yeah. Whatever chassis you have, it's like you're part of that club.
I didn't know.
Well, I got a comment later. So I ended up, I raced at North Davidson Raceway. I think it was a little dirt track. The go-karts, right? Go-kart.
Yeah.
And I think I did that like once or twice. Stripped the chain, stripped the clutch, two-buck clutch. I was like, too dirty. So anyway, I ended up racing Enduros, go-karts. I just met some people and stuff like that.
Enduros, explain what that is.
It's a lay-down go-kart.
Like at Rockingham?
Yeah.
Charlotte?
Daytona.
Yeah. You did that?
Yeah.
All right. So I was just.
Let me give you one thing. So, but I also had a little mini bike, and I was just a kid.
Yeah.
Just going to the races. So that was kind of that path. And I mean, I didn't know between the go-karts and all that stuff, I mean, again, I was 14, 15 years old. I'm just going to school, and I'm just glad to be there, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I'm loving racing because I'm getting to see it and go. But as time goes on, of course, you turn 16, then you start. But the enduros, yeah. So did all that for 3 or 4 years.
All right, so I got these. I got a bunch of old souvenir programs or race programs, and I was looking at one yesterday at Rockingham souvenir program from 1981, and they ran enduros there, right? And I'm looking at pictures of these things in this magazine, and I got questions like, so that looks extremely dangerous, right? I mean, I can understand running it like a dirt track, a little tiny old dirt track, and flipping and doing all the things you do there, because I did that, but getting on a go-kart and just laying down and going,
probably 100 in the stock class,
that just seems not cool.
Well, I think when you're 15, 16, it probably didn't resonate that was something could go wrong. You know what I mean?
Fun?
I had a blast. I really did. I went to hooked up with the guys at Comet Kart Sales. So Mark Dismore up north, CKS. There's a Comet Kart Sales south.
Mark Dismore, that name sounds so familiar.
IROC.
Okay.
Yep. And more, but IndyCar and IROC. That's where I met him. Well, I raced against him back in the go-kart days, but I saw him last year. But IROC was amazing. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, we just, I don't know. You didn't see the danger factor. You just did it.
Did you learn about? Did you feel like the draft and all that stuff?
Well, I can tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. It was the experience that I had. I mean, Rockingham was like a little bit of a short track, because I mean, and what we do is we run the oval, so you get down the back straightaway through the road course and back on the oval, and again, it's in a go kart. You're laying down. You got the tack and I got the temperature gauge with the cylinder head temperature gauge and something else, RPM, strapped to you like a belt. You're just laid in there, right?
Yeah.
So you go run, and I mean, it was a blast. I mean, learned a lot, and had fun and raced, and we had a couple of races there where we ran just the oval. Like, at the end of the day, everybody put in $15 and you run 10 laps on the oval. And I'll never forget. I thought, this is gonna be great, right? You should just run the oval.
Yeah.
And there's no hay bales.
He's on first with a
base hit. We haul off into one, run about a lap. I remember this vividly. This guy spins out into 3, and he does just a 360 in front of me. And I'm like, looked like a cup car smoking off the tires, I'm like, oh wow, that was, that was bad, but we made it, So anyway, so Rockingham, you remember? So I'm running on the oval, and we're drafting. Of course you're drafting. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I see somebody on the apron. I thought, what in the world? And it's Mike Swain Sr.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the oval, on the flat, running like that, coming up on the bank and on the straightaway, and go down, making a short line out of it. So it's like, what a trip, right? I mean, so it's like, whoa. So here I was, 15 or 16 years old. But I the biggest one I did we ran Savannah, we ran Charlotte, Rockingham a lot, Talladega, the Daytona. So I went to Daytona for the kart week, which is usually between Christmas and New Year's. So my dad loaded up in the van. My dad and I loaded up in the van. We had one Comet kart, one Yamaha, one set of tires, and our starter and battery was on a hand truck. So we go down there and we unload. And we're by guys that's flown over from Italy running supercart or shipper cart, stuff like that. There's 1,000 entries, Kathy Hartman, Gary Hartman, Hartman Clutches. They're over there in this tractor trailer looking box truck thing, like back in the day. So I think this was 79 or 80. Anyway, so I started like 75th and ran a 45-minute race. And I could see them, I could see all the carts in front of me drafting. And I couldn't catch them on this big track, but I could catch them through the road course. So anyway, long story short, when we get to the end, I finished 4th. And 4th or 5th. And Scott Pruitt was either 2nd, Todd Sprague was up there. You know those
Pruitt
guys.
was in the ad, in the column that I was reading in the book yesterday.
Yeah. So I always, whenever I see Scott, and I still see him, a couple years ago I saw him in Europe, and people asked me something. I said, my favorite story about Scott was me finishing like 5th behind him at Daytona in 1979 or 80, you know what I mean? So that was fun. I mean, that was great stuff. I mean, you just race and go-karts. That's what I did.
So your brother's career is taking off in the Cup Series, and y'all are finally living in North Carolina. You're racing some go-karts and other things. How are you how are you creating opportunities for yourself? There's got to be a ton of focus with your dad working for the Cup team, your brother driving in that series. How are you creating, these opportunities for yourself to get in eventually late model stock cars and stuff like that? Where did you go beyond the go-kart?
Well, for a while I'd pick up a race here, or I'd try to.
So I heard that you raced at Caraway in a sportsman race that my dad was in like 1980.
Yeah, I could use a bit of a break.
What was that? How did you do that?
Well, I begged, borrowed, and stole everything I could get back then, obviously. I still do it now. It's no different, just a little different world. But I think it was Mike Swain's car. Borrowed a motor from Hagen, basically took it out of the back of the shop and put it in there. We went down there and qualified ninth. Darryl Wheeler got spun out. I got spun out and tapped me off the corner and sitting on the back straightaway, and I remember your dad going by, kind of pointing his finger at me, and I'm like, I'm stuck, his starter won't crank, and I need help. And I asked the guy yesterday, I said, where did I finish in that race? I don't remember. He said, you know who won? He said, your dad won. And I don't remember that because I was, worried about me, I guess, at the time. Yeah, that was, Sam Ard was there, Smoke Tank was there. The best one was the Gene Glover.
Yep.
He was the champion the year before. So he started 10th. I started 9th. I'm like, I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. I begged, borrowed, stole everything just to go make the race and have fun. And, that was all I had. So it's not like I do that every week. It was once.
I know. That's kind of, to help people understand, that's kind of like Xfinity Series is today. I know it's it really is. It was kind of like the next step is Cup beyond racing sportsman cars, right?
Yeah. And what year do you think this was?
This is 1980.
That's why this guy's
1980.
Yeah. So your dad won. I think he did. That was Saturday night.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he raced somewhere on Sunday. That was a Saturday night. He comes and races and made out at the payout window and went to the race next day.
When you say you begged, borrowed, and stole, you're basically just begging people to give you a chance. Like at this point, you're trying to get someone to take a chance on you, correct?
Exactly. And I made friends, and Mike Swain, I mentioned earlier, Phil Parsons, drove for him in the Archdale.
You drove for Phil?
Nope, he drove for Phil.
Oh.
So, and their shop is in Archdale, a two-car garage.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil had no help besides Odie that lived in Michigan that worked for GM. So, can you come help? And I go hang out with Mike because go-kart. So I hung out there way too much. But anyway, I'm sure they were like, is this kid coming back? Or what? Get out of here. So anyway, I'd go hang out, and Phil drove for him. So Phil's like, hey, do you want to? You could help me out, man. Help me out. I was like, I don't know how to do anything. He said, well, take the rear end out of that car. Like, all right. So, you take a 9-inch Ford rear end out, and it's laying on you. By the time you get it out, you've got grease everywhere. And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I was wanting to do something.
Yeah.
Wanting to learn.
What would Phil's car look like? Was this at 28?
Should be 27.
27?
Yeah. I had management resource systems on it.
Okay. It wasn't back when. It wasn't the Skoal.
It was before Skoal.
Before that.
Yeah.
All right. So you're helping Phil. Yeah. You going to the track?
We went to Daytona.
For the ARCA race?
We ran the ARCA race and the Busch race.
Just a
bit
inside.
That's awesome.
And so we took a decal off, changed the number on it. So I got a note from school. I got a note.
I wish it was that way.
I got a note to get out of 2 weeks of school or 1 week of school or something like that.
Oh, so you're still in high school?
Yeah. And so I go down there with him. And, I don't know where we finished, but I think we thought we dropped the booster off the carburetor down the carburetor. I think we had a magnet going down with a string trying to pick it out.
Oh, Lord.
It was just, I told Phil afterwards, I said, dude, I'll never work on you. That was the hardest week I've ever worked on. And I'm in high school, right? And we laugh about it now because we, obviously, friends, and we laugh about it. And, but yeah, I did that back in the day, and that was, I had to be 80, 81, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a initiation or whatever you want to call it, but so it was just me and Odie and Phil basically with some, a little bit of help here and there. And heck, I didn't know anything, but that's just, you're just trying to get there.
That must have been a blast.
But I don't know.
I know you said it was a lot of work, and I'm sure it was just overwhelming and just a bunch, but.
Yeah. But how does that transfer into an opportunity to drive in a sportsman race? That's the part I don't get.
Well, it was that opportunity was one of Phil's cars, or one of Mike's cars that Phil drove for.
You drove.
Yeah, later. So I think I don't know how I got that opportunity. I asked my daddy to remember more than I did, but got that opportunity, being over there helping out and stuff like that.
Understood.
Yeah.
So you're bouncing around helping Phil. When did you end up going to the racetrack to help your brother?
Makes the catch.
Well,
when did that start?
Yep. So suitcase Jake.
Jake Elder.
Yeah, was at the shop, and that's all I did was racing. Eat, sleep, racing. So
how were your grades?
I just made it. I was good.
Okay.
That high school education worked out good. So anyway, I would go to the shop after school and just start sweeping the floor. Like
Cup shop.
Yep. Jake Elder. And I'd start sweeping the floor, and then on Saturdays I'd mop the floor.
Are you sweeping the floor like looking side-eyed over there? Jake, see if he sees you sweeping the floor? Are you like hoping somebody recognizes like this sort of effort you're putting in to sort of get into doing more?
I don't know. I probably just was sweeping the floor. But I was really wanting to do more all the time.
Yeah.
I never wanted to just sweep the floor.
Okay.
So I would, I would.
Did you get paid?
I wore them out.
Up the middle.
I probably got paid nothing. I'm sure I got paid nothing.
Yeah.
But I was just doing it after class, after school. I'd get out part day.
What stage you at between you and your brother?
7.5 years.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would go over there and just do that, and then I'd learn how to weld, learn how to do things. So Eddie Dickerson taught me how to weld, and so I'd Healy arc from him, and then I'd just start doing more and more, and help. Can I hold the front end plate to put the car on the front end plate and watch you look at setting the front end caster and camber? Yeah, just learning all that stuff.
No balls in one strike.
That was my college. My degree was happening. I just didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
Nobody out.
So that's when I started going over there. And I mean, it was just sweep the floor, mop the floor, clean up. I mean, I'd wipe the wheels down. I would go to the bank, get money, get cash, wash the vans. We'd get cash for the poker games on Wednesday night. And finally got to play. They didn't let me play for a long time. Then finally got to play when I won. Jake didn't let me play no more. So anyway, I have to admit, I had a nickname.
What was it?
Broom Boy. And that's what I did. Because Jake would go, Jake was like, "Where's that broom boy at?" He would want you to come up there and do something for him, right? But so like Gary Dehart, he was welder boy.
Welder boy.
Yeah, so he was obviously Gary Dehart.
Every job.
Yeah, hey, where's that welder boy at?
Brand boy.
Yeah.
And I remember one time,
Morris with the delivery on the
Dehart
0-1.
quit. So I helped him load up his toolbox. So I come to work the next day in the afternoon, and Jake was doing something, and he goes, "Hey, where's that welder boy at?" I said, "Jake, he quit." "Well, why'd he quit?"
It's an RBI
"Got tired of listening to you, probably." "You go get him and get him back over here." So I would go over to Gary's shop, and I said, "Hey, Jake, why don't you come back?" So we loaded up Gary's toolbox, came back over there.
Really? Just like that?
That's just, so that was part of my, part of the
education,
days back then, and it grew when Dale Inman came, Richie Bars came, and then I was not just sweeping the floors, I was full-time. So quickly I'll just, I'll hit it, but I mean, I was full-time. I mean, I learned how to do roll centers on the ground with Richie Bars.
Yeah.
I went to the back and was welding up water pumps. When you had to put the bolt in the back of it to hit the timing chain cover, so the cam wouldn't, slide.
Yeah.
And ultralight, Magnaflux.
Yeah, for cracks.
Magnaflux pistons and all that stuff. So every day I'd go to work trying to do more and more and more. So as time went on, I was learning more about cars. Pete Wright, Steve Meal.
I know Pete Wright.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dehart, Wayne Dalton, whether it was sanding on a car, whatever it was. I mean, that's just what I did. And so that's learning. I'm still the parts guy, or I still go to the bank, get money, or wash the vans, whatever. Your checks would cash sometimes, and sometimes they wouldn't cash.
Yeah.
So you just had to, manage it right. And but that's just kind of what I did. And so that's how I got to the track with my brother on Sundays. And you saw that pictures of me standing there at the back as a crew guy.
Yeah.
So that was full time, and that was that was my everyday job.
All right. So are you going every week with them? Every race?
Yeah, I did that for about 3 years, probably 2 or 3 years.
And you're trying to do a little racing every once in a while, or no?
I wasn't do as much in that really part of that time. And then 86 started rolling around. And so I got a deal to race at Late Model Stock.
Your brother won a championship in '84.
Yeah.
You're going to the racetrack with him that year.
Yeah.
What did that feel like?
Well, I mean, that was, obviously,
Did y'all realize like what had happened?
No, probably not. Probably not. I mean, I remember the year before, 2 years before, when we lost Budweiser. We were out in Riverside, California. We were having Budweiser was giving us the farewell dinner. So Wayne Dalton, he'd order 2 drinks and throw one in the plant beside us and drink one. And we was just like, but we got Piedmont Airlines, which was great. So everything was looking good. And then we win the championship, go to New York, go to Waldorf, celebrate the whole thing. And I mean, we I don't know that we knew what we did. Being a part of a championship team then, you celebrate however, and today's different. But I don't know. I think that it was, looking back on pictures, it's like, wow, I can't believe we did that.
Right.
At the time, you're just like, hey, we just did it. So, we would go to the track, and Inman taught us a lot, and we were just like, we were unbeatable, that year to go there.
What team was that?
That was Hagen
still?
The 44, Piedmont Airlines. One thing I remember about that, I was really young, but that car was bulletproof.
Yeah.
Never broke. Never. Like, finished every single race and finished in the top 5 pretty much every week.
Well, Dewey Livengood built the motors. 8 o'clock at night, he did them on the dyno. It was him and a few other guys, several other guys. But, every week we would have a system, and Pete Wright and Steve Meal and I and, whoever else, obviously other people in there too, but we'd take those cars apart every week. New nuts, new bolts, new ball joints, new everything, new tie rods, every week. We didn't let it go until something broke. So that was kind of our, I think that's what helped us and kind of set an example to do that and get better, even better yet.
Well, who was the crew chief of the championship year?
Dale Inman.
So Dale Inman replaced Jake Elder? Yeah. Okay. Wow, those are 2 big names. And probably vastly different.
A little bit different, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say a complete opposite of the spectrum on that.
Okay. Well, the reason why, like, Jake Elder stories never cease to amaze me because, like, everybody's memory of Jake Elder, like, he seems like to be the ultimate hard ass. Is that what he was?
Jake? Yeah.
Yeah. And so Dale Inman completely different.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Softy,
Okay.
But he knew how to work. He knew how to get people to work, without him not having to do it. But he made people work, which is what's supposed to be like. And, Jake was just at the time. It was just all he knew how to make the car go fast, and he didn't know how to get 20 people to work. It's way different.
Jake was like could set the car up. It was going to be fast. Probably get the pole everywhere you went. I remember him just being really good at getting poles with. But anyhow, So, but yeah, he'd have a new job every 6 months.
Yeah,
right. He wouldn't even make it a year.
Suitcase Jake Elder. That's why.
Yeah. So did Inman replace him because he left? Notoriously because that's what he did.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, probably.
Jake would just get tired of it.
Yeah,
I don't know why. That'd be interesting. I wish we could have a guy like get him on here and ask him. But I want to share a message from Ancestry. There are many paths to finding your family story, whichever way you choose, tracing your family generations back with a family tree or uncovering more information with Ancestry DNA. It's easy to get started with Ancestry. An Ancestry DNA test tells you where your ancestors are from. And Ancestry's billions of records and millions of family trees let you discover their personal stories. It's really cool when you combine the two. And I'm on the app, so I've seen people that have just Ancestry DNA, right? They're really kind of learning about is what part of the world they came from, and there's a bit of a timeline that goes back hundreds of years that gives them an idea of sort of how their genealogy migrated from continent to continent or whatever. And that's really interesting. It gives you a lot of other sort of details about your DNA, physical traits and other qualities maybe that you have or don't have. But when you pair that with the family tree, what you create on Ancestry.com, it kind of brings it all together and really shapes the whole picture and builds the whole picture because now with the DNA telling you geographically how your family may have moved around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
You can see individuals and historical records that prove those to be fact. And it kind of makes all this really three-dimensional. I had the family tree for years, and, man, it really jumped off the page once I got the DNA kit and paired them together. You could find a famous relative.
Yeah, I've got a story whenever you're ready.
Oh, all right. Go ahead.
Well, just to give you a quick thing, last week I found a house in Charlotte that my second grader, I thought I was the first Davis in Charlotte.
Okay.
Look at this.
Oh, man.
I was driving back from a soccer game. Mm-hmm. This house, Davises lived in long ago, like back in the 1930s, 1940, this house. It's down there by Bojangles Coliseum on Independence.
Yes.
Yeah. And I found it through Ancestry.com.
Okay.
I found that because, they have all those records and like the census and all, every decade or whatever, and their address was there. And I'm like, wait, that may still be there. And it sure enough is.
Interesting.
Yeah. I took my girls by it.
Huh. Well, that's cool. You could learn things like that. Perhaps there's a
The Orioles are trying for their second straight victory.
There's a little,
Hi again, everybody, and welcome to EA Sports MVP Baseball. I'm Dwayne Kuiper along with Mike Krukow. And now, here's tonight's starting pitcher, Bronson Arroyo.
Unique to me is when I find
this evening's game features the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah. You know what? I found photos of my wife.
What?
Here's the game's first batter, Larry Bigby.
I do, but
this left-hander is solid. He's
on there, and all of a sudden, one of those leaves, those hints pop up on your wife. You're like, what? This is interesting. You click on it, and there's like high school photos. Mardi Gras.
Oh, buddy.
Nah, not Mardi Gras. The high school photos. Yeah, for real. Things you never. I didn't ever see these before.
Well, the photos are cool. Particularly, obviously, they're harder to find ones from over 100 years ago, or more, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's really crazy because you can see in some of those photos some of the family traits, right? Physical traits.
That's right.
Right. Passed down. So it's that's really cool.
That's an Earnhardt cheek. I know that cheek. That's an Earnhardt cheek.
Davis teeth. I know them teeth. You were going to say nose, weren't you? Yes, you were.
You think I was
You
gonna say
changed
that?
it and thought, you know what? That might be insulting.
You don't know what I was going to say.
Oh, man. So, the joke behind that is Dad had a big nose.
Just your dad.
Hey, let's just stop there.
This guy has 4 pitches to
I've seen that nose in my ancestry. Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. I'll pass that down.
yank to the left side.
So, whatever you find, it's sure to change the whole way you look at your family history and yourself. And after all, the story of your family, it's a story of you. It's kind of how you got here. Everybody should want to know that, or everybody should know that. Trace the past of your recent ancestors and learn how and why your family moved from place to place around the world. No other DNA test delivers such a unique interactive experience. It's easy to start making discoveries with Ancestry. Grab an Ancestry DNA kit and start a free trial to amplify your discovery with Ancestry's billions of records in your Ancestry family tree. So start exploring your family story today. Head to my URL at Ancestry.com/Dale to get your Ancestry DNA kit and start your free trial. That's Ancestry.com/Dale. All right, so are there anything going on in your head about like, man, I really want to race, or man, I'm good. I think I'm a mechanic. What are you thinking? Like, are you? Because I mean, dude, you're a Hall of Famer, right? You got this incredible career. But what I'm hearing right now is you had 3 years where you just were going to the racetrack with your brother as a full-time mechanic. You had a job, getting a paycheck. Like, you're on this other completely different path. Yeah. What's going on in your mind?
Well, there was a little bit of racing, through that. I mean, it was that one-off 2 years. Very little stuff, right? Took a late model sportsman car.
Did you build it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you built the car?
Yeah. We took it to Martinsville.
Downtime?
Yep, took it to Martinsville. Yeah, again, begged, borrowed, stole everything. All the sheet metal, time, everything I could do.
What did that car look like?
That was a Malibu. That was the white number 81 Malibu. Didn't run it much. Kerry Bodenheimer car.
Okay.
So anyway, we took it to Texas on a road course.
I had a boat in that car. It's like being part of the club.
You in that club. Got it. A lot of clubs.
Yeah, it is, man. Strike one. But yeah, I mean, so I was having fun working. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was making $750 a week.
Nice.
I was making money. And wasn't saving as much as I should have, but I was making money, probably saving a little bit. I was living at home. So anyway, just, I don't know, meander now.
When you take that little 81 car and go race, how's that working out? I mean, what kind of results are you getting? Seeing a glimpse of what's possible, what would become reality with you?
I'd go to Martinsville. A couple times I went.
Was this a late model stock?
Takes a strike.
Nope.
300 or is the sportsman car still?
Sportsman.
Okay.
I remember qualifying. I think I was 20th or something like that. I think I had to run a heat race. That's what it was. I ran a heat race. Morgan Shepard's in front of me. He had run last chance race.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Morgan's good.
Yeah, and I think I messed up on the old Ford Master Cylinder. And you had to pump the brakes up under caution, because if not, you wouldn't have no brakes. And I learned that lesson a little bit. Kind of roughed up a little bit. I know I made the race. Run whatever, 20th. But I mean, it was one of those things. It's like, we ain't got nothing.
Did your brother go help you with those or not?
Oh,
he
yeah.
Couldn't?
He could? Yeah, he could. I mean, he could go. He would go. He always helped me. He still helps me, but he always helped me. Everywhere, I mean, I was a picture the other day somewhere. Somebody sent me torquing the right front wheel in that car.
Dude, we got to get that picture.
Yeah. Find it.
Flag that?
Yeah.
You can get that.
I'll get that for you. So that, so I knew a mechanic was like making money. Racing's like hard. No different than today. It's hard to get a sponsor. Hard to go to the track. It's hard to, is it mini stocks? Is it late? How do you graduate up? And I probably should have been racing mini stocks every weekend on Saturday night instead. I was like, let's go race some sportsman. That's Morgan Shepard's doing it. All these other guys. Sam Ard's doing it.
And on 3 pitches,
Jimmy Henson's doing it, So anyway, but that was about it. And then finally in '86, I got a deal to run some late model stock. I ran Orange County, South Boston, Orange County.
Whose car was that?
Vernon Lloyd.
Who's he?
This guy in Roxborough, just an Orange County guy, had a car for a while.
Somebody else was driving for him.
Probably. I don't remember. All I remember is it had loose springs on it.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
yeah.
And drum brakes.
Oh, my gosh. Really?
Yeah, I'm like, all right. So I remember my dad and I go up there, and the guy, he was all tickled to death. He's painted it. We got a sponsor.
Black with was it 77?
No, this is a number one. Birch Fenton. Okay. So a guy that I met was going to sponsor, a couple $100 race probably. I remember when we painted it, we went up there and looked at it, and he just put a piece of towel over the drums, and painted the car. And, like, the frame got overspray. It's like, of course, I'm coming from the cup deal. It's like, even we didn't do that, right? So anyway, I went and did a few races that in Orange County, South Boston, Orange County, like 6. That was the year that Todd Bodine ran some races up there with Danny Bumpus. I'm trying to think. I think Jeff Burton is kind of about that time as well. He might have been doing his dad's car, but and that was that late model stock back in that day. And so this is prior to having my late model stock, but that was kind of my entry.
Okay.
So the timeline for you is that was '86, and
did you have any moments of success with this drum brake car?
No.
Yeah, right.
The most fun I had.
Were you literally the only car out there with drum brakes?
I don't know.
God, I can't even imagine.
You know, you had Barry Begley.
Go God, yeah, but damn, nobody had drum brakes since 1986.
I know it. I think I might have been a little bit behind, but I mean, kind of do what you got to do, right?
Yeah. Was the front clip stop?
I would think.
I think they had to do that.
But I remember Barry Begley and Sandy Stigall and.
God, yeah, he's an awesome man.
You think about those names, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, but so that was learning, figuring out. Two things I learned was we broke a crankshaft one night that just shook the rearview mirror clean off it. I'm like, well, that's the first time I ever felt motor blow up like that. I was like, okay, that's a good learn. Yeah. And then I took the guy that owned the car. I said, hey, why don't you ride it with me? And I'll show you what this thing feels like. So we put him over on the right side, floorboard. I didn't get off pit road. He was screaming. I was like, well, okay, you're not even, it's like, I guess I get to show you how tight it is or how loose it is.
Oh my gosh.
Probably a good thing that did.
Probably did.
Yeah. So that was 86. So I was racing some late model stocks and kind of having a good time, still working, flying on Sundays to the races.
Wow.
In a Baron, beach trap Baron.
Yeah.
And so the 6 of us at fly. But that was going to be a turning point that year for me. Because then it was like, you want to race or do you want to be a mechanic?
How hard was that?
Hard at all.
Right.
No. It was easy. The decision was made for me.
Oh.
Yeah. It was simple. So Terry told Billy Hagan, I'm going to drive for Junior Johnson. God, it's a great opportunity. You're going to drive for Junior Johnson, So Matt, announced that on whatever day.
No doubt about
a couple days later,
that thing was out
they
of
come
here
through
the
and
second it
they
hit
told
the
my dad,
bat.
they said, we don't need you anymore. I was like, oh, man. Whew. Well, the day went by. I didn't get cut.
Up next, Larry
I made it. I'm like, awesome, this is great. So the next day, I'm down there in the fab shop, building a fender, English wheel, me and Mark Lineberry. And they come down and said, hey, what are you doing next year? Or no, what are you doing? I said, I'm building this fender. They said, no, what are you doing next year? I was like, oh, crud, I didn't make it. So I got fired. So basically, I was like, well, what are you going to do?
Third out,
I'm going to get a job. I tried, but nobody would hire me. So I tried to get a job at Billy Stavola's for Stavola, and they wouldn't hire me.
Why?
You're a mechanic.
It's a 1-to-1
experience at this
tie.
point. Why would nobody hire you?
I even drove the truck one time, so I got a big resume. But they wouldn't hire me because I was very athletic.
What?
Just kind of a,
They didn't want you sharing.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even think. I wouldn't even know how sharing
Yeah,
felt,
But that was probably,
I got it.
and it wasn't like it probably didn't have a rule. It's not like they had a handbook. It was just kind of the way. So I actually applied for a job, and they didn't hire me. Whatever the reason, they didn't hire me. So now it's coming pretty much. What are you going to do now? So ended up I went to work for Jay Hedgecock.
he built chassis.
Yeah, so I went to work for Jay.
What kind of chassis does he build at this time?
Late model stock.
That's it. Purely that?
I think so. I think it's all late model stock.
2 balls, no strikes.
He builds chassis today.
At the racetrack. Yep. So went to work there. Saved up enough money to buy a car and a motor and went to Caraway and raced. So that's that's how that started. When you think about what were you going to do, I was pretty happy making $750 a week, working on cars, racing a little bit. And then it was like, well,
now you're making money.
Minus.
Because it's your own car, you're racing.
Well, I just wondered what he's making a week. His car.
Oh, I think it's $250.
Yeah. So
Jeff Burton, you talked to Jeff Burton about that.
Did he work there too? He did?
Yes. Yeah.
Did he work there at the same time
I
as
think
you?
he made more money there.
Y'all work there together?
Yeah. A little bit.
It is crazy. So, man,
he made more money than I did. Just remind him of that.
Let me tell you, I stood on I don't know how many driver intro stages in my career with him, Burton, Phil Parsons, and all kinds of other people with no idea, and you'd never know it by standing there watching them, that they all knew each other so well.
Right.
Like they all worked at the same place, and they had this grind of getting to the elite level of Cup Series racing, and went through all these same sort of pathways to get there. and you'd never know it.
Well, that's not the conversation you typically have in the driver intro stage.
I'm just saying, like, it just blows me away that I don't hear about it till now.
Yeah.
That y'all all knew each other in a different way than just, hey, man, we're competitors.
Yeah, right.
We showed up at the track.
Kind of grew, obviously, like they kind of grow up together.
Right.
You know,
like y'all didn't just show up at the track and, hey, that's the guy I'm racing against.
Right.
Like, you worked in this building with this guy. Y'all like the camaraderie and going to lunch and doing the things you do. Right?
I sense a little frustration that Burton made more money than you do, or you did. I mean, it's clearly something you're still wrestling with.
Yeah. How'd you make that much money? How'd you talk him into paying you that much money?
Yeah.
Burton can talk himself into a good deal.
Well, let me ask you this: so you get working at Hitchcock. That's great because now you're going to race a late model car. Here's the guy with the answers to everything you could possibly have a question for in terms of race, the chassis, setting the car up, and all the things. I'm just wait. You fix it. All right, Jeff Burton's there. He's racing. He's good. I can ask him things. He's winning. What happened? Is that true?
Kind of. So, my brother had a Howe car before that.
Okay.
So he'd run some late model races.
And that's a left-hander chassis, like offset chassis, correct? It's
offset.
not a true late model.
Yep. It's no. It's offset car. So he raced that some Franklin County, different places, right? Saturday night shows, big money, right? So I'd already bought a Howe car for my late model. So I bought a Howe car. So that was my chassis.
Oh, so you didn't have a chassis from Hitchcock where you're working?
Well, I already had one. It's all I could afford. I had that.
You already had a Howe?
Yeah, had a Howe car. Yeah.
And it's an offset chassis?
It was a perimeter car.
Okay, so it's
got
a
to
true
meet
late
NASCAR
model.
rules.
All right.
They didn't like it, but anyway, NASCAR didn't like it, which that's all right. They didn't like much about me anyway for a long time.
Why?
Because we showed up with a Howe car.
Okay.
And nobody liked that. There ain't no Howe car.
Right.
They called it a dirt car. That's what they thought it was, a dirt car. How's it a dirt car? It's just a dirt car. Like, it's not a dirt car. Go to Orange County. I ain't rolled off the trailer, and they just put it back on. You can't run it. Why? You got high joints in the back. The truck on. Well, you need monoball. Okay, so we fix it. Well, we cover them up. But and then they say, well, we don't like your rear clip. Why? It's offset. It's offset the wrong way. We had to fix that. I mean, it's like so. Anyway, that was fun.
All right, so you put this car all up to make it work,
and it still worked. It was fine.
How'd it drive?
It was awesome. Won a lot.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite cars. I mean, just put the body on myself and did all that. At night.
Yep. At home.
My dad's shop.
Your dad's shop. What kind of shop you got?
It was a 30 by 40.
Okay.
We had 3 cars in it at one time, but it was
tight.
Yeah, we had late model in it. And
all this time your dad's helping you.
He's working for Junior Johnson. He'd come home at night, he'd work all night. He'd go back to work. I'd go to work at Jay's, and he'd come back and work. Race on Saturday nights, every Saturday night at Carroll Speedway.
I know it. There's a grind and it sounds awesome.
I know, right? I know. That's the most purest way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Have your day job, go home, work all night.
Yeah.
Go race on the weekend.
That there is something about that. That's typical. That's the modified
real
night. It's I'm leaving here going there. So I mean,
so that's okay. So what you're saying is what you're doing now with this modified is getting very close to that, and that's what you're doing.
And that's the people in the stands. They had autographed, or track fan appreciation thing yesterday. People come down there looking around. I mean, cool stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people do it nowadays at the Cup deal, but it's kind of hard to process to get through, to get there, or back a couple years ago. But anyway, yeah. So that's kind of lucky. That's a little bit ahead of mine.
So you're building this car, or you built this car. You're winning a lot of races with it. Howe car. No one else has a Howe car. What is next? Is this the one with the Buick body?
That's Concord. That's a year later.
Okay. So what happens to this Howe car?
That Howe car that I raced and won, we raced it at Concord in a late model stock. Okay. And then also had an offset late model car, which would be like a modified with the body. Right? So I had a couple of those offset Howe cars when the Big Ten races.
Yes. Big Ten races at Concord were a big deal back then.
Some of the best racing.
Freddie Query.
Rich Bickle,
a bunch
Dave
of guys.
Mader,
Yep. Big time.
Butch Miller, Mike Eddy, come down.
Big name.
I mean, big name. Big name. He delivers. So Oh, yeah, some great races, Jack and all of them. So anyway, so that car came later. I run some All-American Challenge races with that Fizzle V6 and put the Buick body on. So, but I ran that my Howe car at Concord one time, and I sold it. And the Petties got it. So Richie and Mark and all of them raced it at Caraway until they, wore it out.
That's the final out.
I think they flipped it on the back.
So you're running now. You're kind of transitioning out of the true late model into a left-hand chassis car or offset car, right?
Yeah.
And good success, right?
Yeah.
Big Ten.
Handful of Big Ten races.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is back when Concord this is out on 601, Highway 601, back when it was a true oval.
Yeah.
The
best
they messed it up.
They messed it up. Yeah.
Like anybody else that changes the track.
David puts it away.
We're getting very close to that Daytona race where I saw you for the first time. I live around here. I had not heard of you. I mean, I don't know that I never went to Concord when it was an oval. First time I started going there, they just changed it, so I didn't know really any of the names. I barely knew Freddie Pruitt. Right. Mm-hmm. So bridge that little short period of time between driving those races at Concord at that short track down the road to getting into the Xfinity Series. What is the Busch Series?
Yeah. Well, I ran some at, the Concord 88, 87's Caraway, 88, 89 Concord, week in and week out. Now I know the Petties, obviously, known them for years.
It wouldn't be a Hall of Fame career conversation at this table if Petties were involved in.
That's right.
They are linked into every single career of anybody in the sport.
I know it. They are. And this one here was actually with Maurice.
Okay.
So Maurice Petty, he was hooked up with a guy named Bill Shackelford out of Kinston, and had a company called Winter Circle Auto Parts.
Yeah.
Nothing special
Remember
about
that?
Yeah.
So this guy, Mr. Shackelford, passed away now. But back in the day, he helped Maurice out, Maurice's boys out. Maurice would, I don't know how you'd compare the program, but, lend in Maurice's name, and, they have remanufactured parts, pieces, starters and stuff for cars. So you could go there and pick up stuff for your car, street car. So anyway, Winter Circle Auto Parts started to be my sponsor.
Yes.
And so, because I had a red Camaro at Caraway, then it became a black Camaro at Caraway with Winter Circle Auto Parts. So he helped sponsor me at Concord, and also then we started the Busch Grand National race. He helped me get to the races. He bought a car.
Who's we? You and your daddy?
Yeah.
You and your daddy bought a Busch car.
He's hitting
you,
272 with 6 home runs.
I think we went
27
to
RBIs.
Hutch
and Pagan?
I think we got a Hutch
got
car
a chassis
first. Yeah.
Pitch taken
I think that was our first deal. Yeah,
Sometimes you try to
built
make
it. We didn't.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you saw right
Robert
there.
G.
Oh.
Robert G. put the bodies on
What?
for me. Yep.
G Junior or Senior?
Bodies by G. Senior.
Senior.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. That car I had at Daytona was a Bodies by G.
Hell yes.
So,
Bodies by G.
So the car we had before that was the Buick LeSabre.
Uh-huh.
And so I ran probably, 5 or 6 races in 88.
Payoff pitch coming.
And then another 6 or 7 in 89.
Okay. With the Buick?
With the Buick. So that was that gap that I started, right? So
did you, the Buick is the y'all got the chassis and built the car yourself? You hung the body? You and your daddy?
Yeah, I think we might have had some help on that. Yeah, I don't think we could do all that ourselves.
But it's still running that out of your little shop.
Yes. We move over to a different shop in that year, the Daytona year we're talking about, or we're going to get to.
Yeah.
So we're doing this with this Winter Circle. So I'm racing Concord a little bit, then race a couple Busch races, and Concord still, and Busch races. So I'm getting a race up.
Yeah.
And became, I think in '89, that was my self-employment. I filed for independent contract. I think it was my filing, for taxes.
Yeah.
So
did you leave Headshot?
After 87, so 88. Yeah, so 88 I was independent contractor.
Really?
Yeah. So I was actually making money off the winnings I was still living at home.
Okay. Yeah.
All I needed was toothpaste and deodorant, so I really didn't need a whole lot to live on. But so that bridged that gap or to do that. But what happened when we got towards the end of 88, I think Hugo came through. And so the guy that owned Winter Circle Auto Parts had insurance. That's what made his money through insurance.
Just like they practice, okay, boy.
And Morgan Shepherd's voucher by him too.
Yes.
For a while.
All right. answers a question because I would see your late model, and I know Morgan's Busch car had the exact same paint scheme.
Yeah.
I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Now I know why. I've wondered that for years.
Yeah.
Stupid little things that I worry about.
Yeah, I'm with you. So he sponsored both of us. When Hugo come through, I mean, it devastated the coastal.
Yeah, the Hurricane
Yeah,
Hugo.
Hurricane Hugo.
Yeah.
So it devastated. So insurance, I'm not sure how that worked. But anyway, obviously when the insurance, people had to collect for insurance, right? Well, that was a scam. Because what was happening was I was finally getting to the racetrack, Gary Parnell, Huggins Tires. I get there and mount my 4 sets of tires, 3 sets of tires for the weekend, and they're like, "I didn't pay your bill last week."
Well, this guy hitting infielders should be on their toes. This guy's got some great wheels.
We get a motor from, we got him from somebody, and somehow the bill didn't get paid. And what he was paying the bill, Mr. Shackelford was paying the bill. So to put all this in a quick basket is the Hugo, the insurance, and the scam, and all that stuff. It was like, bills weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
It's because he was, we'd just send him the bill, and he'd pay the tire bill. He'd pay this. And we'd do this, and he'd do that. I mean, your sponsorship dollars, right? So anyway, weird story, but we had to go to federal court and testify against him.
Whoa!
Because it was, because he was embezzling money.
Now I got it.
Back in the embezzlement days, it was like $16 million he embezzled. And that was big money then, of course. Nowadays, it's
they're going to have to do something out there.
So I remember sitting there in court with Morgan and myself and Maurice. And I don't know what this is going to look like because I've never been to court before. And so in there, and he was up there, and so the judge is like, "All right, did you take any money, from him personally, and this and that?" Nope. And the whole time he was just smiling. I think he was just happy he was able to help us. And anyway, he went to prison. But that was kind of a weird time. It was kind of weird.
For him?
Oh yeah.
Because he's a bad guy, but a nice guy.
He helped you.
He helped us,
Sometimes you need help from bad guys.
Like, darn, man. So that got us, we had to go get a sponsor. So anyway, we were working on that anyway.
Which sponsor you get, I'm assuming the one you're getting ready to mention is the greatest.
Absolutely.
Of all time.
Yeah. Have you had the Pickles Pig Feet?
No, of course not. But
I didn't either.
I like just the sauce, the
Slim Jims.
No.
Oh, the Penrose.
Penrose.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
What was it?
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what you saw right there.
Big fan of the product.
Yeah,
Big fan.
For your time.
I guess so.
Yes.
All right. I never know if he's a fan of the product or the paint scheme.
No.
There's two big differences.
It was a good paint scheme, right? But the product. That's racetrack food.
Yeah.
I hear you.
That's like something you eat right before you go there and check your toes.
Or change the gear.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hungry.
How did you guys get sponsors throughout the 80s? And you say you ever go get a sponsor. You make it sound so simple.
Well, nothing. It wasn't simple back then either. This is a crazy story. We go to Goodmark Foods in Raleigh, North Carolina. This guy Ron Gaines and I would go up there, drive up there.
Next with 2 RBIs, Johnny
He's helping Terry on some.
Here comes the first pitch of the at-bat.
Yeah, business stuff. Okay. Yep. Fan club. Started off fan club, then went to that. Anyway, he just passed away yesterday.
He couldn't check his swing.
Anyway, he'd been sick. But this is 1989, so we go up there. And, now I moved to Cliff Stewart's shop. Old Ray Shocker, Rusty ran out of Bowdoin.
Yeah, you just moved in to rent.
He just let it you.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cliff,
that's right.
he just said, here, just use our place because we got more room. So we went from our 30 by 40 to 10,000 square feet. Crazy. So we go up there and we just, I don't know how we just talked him into it, but we just talked him into it.
Did you sit down in the room?
Yeah.
You in the middle of that conversation?
Yeah.
And you're like, are you like, here's our proposal, paper?
Yeah, you
help.
No PowerPoint. It was basically just a
hard up the middle.
Yeah.
Sheets of paper.
Right.
Here's your rundown.
Yeah.
Here's where you started. Here's where you finished. There was no analytics.
Right.
There's no percentage of top 5.
Are you like, this is where your decal goes? We got a truck. We got uniforms. The race car. This is a replacement.
I think we did all that.
This is the dollar sign for all of that. Are you like lumping your throat when you tell them that part?
Pretty much so. But the cool thing was we left there with
The runner crosses the plate
$50,000
on the
check.
sacrifice
Oh,
fly.
without even a contract.
really?
That was like the
Dang.
best. I'm not sure how we did
Yeah,
that.
maybe that's like the secret power you have.
I think the secret power was they were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So, check was already, I had nothing to do with the secret power. So anyway, so we got back. I remember taking a picture of that check going, I guess we better go now, right?
Yeah.
So now we got to buy cars.
All right. Did you know how much you needed?
We got $300,000.
That's what you. How much did you need? Like, did you have a number in your head?
We're going to spend it all.
I know, but like,
But what's it take to race?
What's it take?
Yeah, I mean, how do you know? I don't know. We just said 300 seemed like the right number. I mean, sure, we run numbers in our heads, but we didn't have Excel
Hit to the
spreadsheets.
right side.
It was kind of like, well, it
We
costs
can do
this
that.
much, it costs that
They
much.
got 'em.
Well, how many people can we have? Well, we can only have 4.
That double play was
Okay,
smooth
Gotcha.
as
Yeah.
just like they
So you ended up
practiced.
getting a $300,000 sponsorship from Penrose for 1990.
Yeah, 90
After
on,
5
we had
innings,
several
for
years.
1
Yeah,
year,
that
yeah,
was-
that was
that's the
by
first year.
10.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
With
Okay.
4 innings
So we had to buy
left,
cars.
this game's
So,
been
wait a minute.
all Red Sox.
Are you feeling like this? Like you know, a couple years ago, you're piddling, working full time in a race shop for your brother and a full time. Now you're all in just a few years.
The pitch is hit
You're
to
walking
center
into
field.
a business, getting a $300,000 deal. I guess it's probably not registered.
Righty
in your
warming
brain,
up in the
like
bullpen.
What we're doing?
what you do.
No, we're just trying to race.
You're just like, phew,
Yeah.
you didn't beat your chest at all.
Well, I mean, and you're not really looking past too far ahead. You're just really
Taken
looking at
for
the
a
moment.
ball.
And
Well, you're
just-
an independent contractor at this point, right?
Yeah.
Arroyo
So you're
with the
probably feeling the
1-0
weight
pitch.
of that more than
Cue shot off the end of
rather
the
than
bat.
being able to enjoy it. Like, I mean, like,
He's on with a single.
there's a difference when you're working for somebody and then when
The
you're sort of
Orioles are
respond.
warming
Yes,
some
exactly.
relievers in the
Yeah,
bullpen.
I mean, but I don't know that I ever looked
Next
at
up
it that way.
to
I mean,
plate, Larry
I'll take that back.
Bigby.
I did, but again, you just like, sometimes when I worked for Hagen, sometimes the checks didn't always cash on time. I kind of got used to that. I mean, sometimes they wouldn't, so a lot of times they would. So when you wrote the check to the employees, I mean, you want to make sure they all cashed. I mean, they all cleared the bank, but you also had you had a 3-ring checkbook that you would write checks to, and you kind of keep track of where you were at and make sure you weren't in the red, and you just kind of like you knew what you could afford and maybe what you couldn't afford. We didn't have enough, and we couldn't afford everything, but we could afford what we needed to have. And it just okay. Now we got what we got.
So what are you doing with the cars?
Stepping in,
You
Willie
reskinning them?
Bloomquist.
Well, I bought
There's more than just a few righty
2 Wayne
hitters
Day
who are
cars from David
superior
Green.
against right-handed
Okay.
pitchers than
So
this
David
guy.
Green worked for Wayne Day at the time. So
0-1
I called him. I
count.
said, "Need 2 cars fast." We've got 4 cars, so we need 4 cars. We think we need 4 cars, right? So I got 2 short track cars from him, and I think that's when I went to Hutch. I got 2 cars from him as well, or it might have been Laughlin. I don't remember now if it was
Swing and a
Laughlin or not.
miss.
But we got a Laughlin car later, drops down.
Would have been a call
I mean,
strike.
we had to
The
have
batter
it.
didn't swing.
I can't remember if that was in '91 or after we got beat by Chuck Brown in that
2-2
inch and a half
count.
drop stop
They're
car.
gonna have to do something.
And there's
out
like
there.
when you're
Some of
behind
these
him, you're
pitches
like
ain't even close.
killing me in the center, and I'm like, what is it? Gotta have it. Gotta have
And
it.
he's
So
got
I can't remember if we had 4 cars, 2 Wayne Days, and 2
Thing right
something.
out of midair.
About how much do these cars cost?
Chase is probably around anywhere
Going
from
into the bottom
$4,500
of
to
the
$7,500
sixth,
probably.
The Orioles
Bear
trail
chassis.
by 10.
And we've had,
The
of
Orioles
course,
are making a defensive
Robert put the
switch.
bodies
Here's
on
the
those
new
2 cars
right
probably
fielder,
for me for a
Ryan
while.
Geddes.
Speedway car.
He'll now
Charlotte,
face the top of the order.
Super Speedway and Speedway cars. I mean, David put the short track bodies on, which were padded to the bone.
Oh yeah.
Well, they didn't have a quarter panel rule, so they were 36 inches without a spoiler. So anyway, when you had to go through the tech, it was a little difficult.
The bat went
Had to
through
lean
the
on a
zone.
lot.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't think he went around.
So yeah,
that
so we
swing, and by the looks of
that's what we
things, I don't
had
think
and what we
batter
started
thought so
with.
either.
And, kind of that started the year 1990 to start off in Daytona and run for a championship.
All right, so you go to Daytona and you run second.
Yeah.
Didn't you finish?
No.
Yeah.
No, I
Ran
ended up
second all day. But
I-
where'd you know?
I boogered up on pit stop with that open gear, spun the tires, leaving pits, and lost the draft. So I think I finished 6th maybe.
Oh, okay.
So,
But you ran good all day.
ran good all day. Yeah, missed that wreck.
He's called
Missed the
out on
you were ahead
strike.
of the crash, I think.
Yeah.
And big crash. Yeah, I see that one.
But this is where you first remember him.
Yeah.
Because
So when you maybe not immediately after the race, but a couple weeks later, did you realize kind of that? Like, I mean, did you realize what maybe that moment had done for you? Because I mean, they talked about you the whole race.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure I'm no different than a ton of people, or a lot of other people who have the same serious idea as far as like, hey, this is Bobby Labonte.
He's on his
Terry's
way to
brother.
second.
Like you just popped on everybody's radar. For a lot of people.
Yeah.
Did you recognize him?
Well, I didn't recognize it on the way home because I drove the truck home. So it didn't hit me right away. I probably had to wait till about Tuesday when I woke up. But I don't know. I really didn't. I don't know. Again, I mean, in the moment, you're just thinking about it. You're just thinking about what's happening right now. I know I was very fortunate to be riding my brother's football. And, I felt that's great. But I don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
And I think there's a double-edged sword there because you can ride it, but there's also a lot of pressure on you to maintain that, of course. So, but I felt like I was on my own enough to where, and, obviously, that year was huge, because 87, 88, ran some races and crashed or might not run good. And then run kind of like, okay, kind of got a little head of steam going. And then in 90, when we started off like that, we're able to go and run some Daytona was like, first time there. Never been there before, and I'll never forget practice. Went out there to draft with my brother because that was, he was in a cup. I think it was like you can practice with anybody back in that day.
Oh, really?
Just go practice. And I think I remember going out with him practicing in his cup car, just following him. And I think he was half throttle, or something like that. And, just trying to learn the draft. So when you go down there and you run good, and I remember going out, I was leading the race, and I remember just going out the front straightaway just like, yes, this is awesome. Yeah. Can't believe it.
Yeah.
And then you finish or whatever and go home. And, it definitely, that was you felt like you're on your own, I think, more than anything else. I felt like I was like, okay, I'm establishing my footprint now more so than just being Terry's little brother.
Is that, so you talked about riding his coattails and having that feeling. So when was the moment, I think, in your career when you felt like
I'm glad I didn't have to make the call on that chip. It was real.
You were doing this on all yourself?
Well, I mean, I think,
did you have that?
Change itself way out of strikes.
It took a while, and I would say even, when Bill Davis, I think when I finally got the Gibbs ride, that was like, okay, you're at the same, you're off the tail, and you're kind of got your own coat.
Yes.
To kind of put it in some silly way, but
yeah.
I mean, even when I was driving for Bill, I was still, you're a rookie, and you're still learning, and you're still crashing, and you're still being dumb, and you're doing stupid things or whatever it might be until you start running good in that level. Then I think the Gibbs days was probably it's okay, now I probably surpassed that point of like, okay, if I had to imagine other people going, okay, well, you've made it, instead of he's just Terry's brother, he just he'll be there.
Right.
That would have been about 1994. Gibbs?
5. Well,
No,
5. Yeah, 5.
Okay.
5 was the first year.
Yeah, because Dale Jarrett left Gibbs.
Hey,
and you took his right, and so you had raced Bill Davis,
93,
94. How did the Gibbs ride come about? Like, how did that all work out? Did you have to go beg, borrow, and steal to get that one too?
Well, I had a lot of conversations with Dale Jarrett because he was leaving. And so back in the day, you would sit back and you would in the motorhome lot, everybody would talk.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it's the same nowadays. I'm not sure, but you talk in person, more so anything else. And he was trying to get out of his deal to go drive for Yates. He wasn't sure he could get out, souvenir sales and this and that. And so I'll be honest with you, there was about a month. It was like, don't know if you can. And of course, I'm sitting here, I've already got a deal, signed a 5-year deal with Bill, 2 years into it, but sponsor's leaving. Not sure what's going to happen with sponsors. Not sure we're going to have a ride. And so pretty much a month or so of really not sure. And it worked out where he had back in the day, I think he had so many X amount of souvenirs left over. It's like, we're not going to eat them. You got to pay for them. So he had to pay something, and then Joe paid Bill. We didn't have much souvenirs. So
Joe Gibbs.
I think that's how it worked.
Joe Gibbs and Bill worked out something.
Right, yes.
To help to get you into that 18.
And I'd say probably Robert paid off something to Joe to get him out of that.
Interesting.
And I remember I was in Ohio at High Tech looking at a new trailer at Bruce's place, and Robert calls me, hey, I can't get Dale to drive his car. Do you want to drive it?
Oh,
There's a drive.
what?
Yeah.
No
I mean, if you
one's
couldn't,
gonna catch that
Right.
ball.
But
get
still.
that to happen. And I'll be honest with you, I'm like, I'm pulling for Dale in the back of my mind because I thought, that's going to be high pressure. Not that the 18's not going to be, but that's going to be the next level of pressure from a rookie to that. At that time, I'm like,
It might be over.
I'm not sure. So he was like, can you work out if Mac Tool's going to be a deal breaker or not? I said, I'm good with that. Something else, I'm like, no, I'm good with that. So I was like, damn, Dale, you got to get that deal.
Action in
So
the bullpen.
anyway, so that
The
was
manager's
kind
out
of
to buy
that
some
part
time.
about it. But one of the big
Sometimes a trip
things
to the mound will do nothing but get the pitcher
was Dale
thinking
Sr.
too much, which
Because
usually
we were
means trouble.
at Rockingham, I think it was Rockingham, in the fall. And
A pitching change
we
will
were
be
standing there
made.
talking, and
Williamson
Joe
comes
walked
in to
up.
try to provide some
Joe,
relief.
I don't know, we were somewhere. How Joe was there, motoring a lot on I think it was motoring a lot. So anyway, Joe walked up and said, I was talking to your dad. Your dad told Joe, he says, you need to get him to drive this car. You should get him to drive your car.
weakly
Because,
towards the
we all
first baseman.
we all knew what was going on.
Curves foul.
Your dad knew more than anybody, but he knew what was happening with Dale, Jarrett, and he knew all the deals
Here's
that
the
were making him,
pitch.
playing around. So he made a comment to Joe
Sends it
to
foul.
hire me. So I'm not saying that was all of it, but
Sure.
I was like, I'm like, that's cool,
Yeah.
You got the man telling Joe you need to hire this guy. He didn't grab him by the fire truck, but
He didn't
like
put him in
me.
the headlock. He did most people.
Were y'all close? I mean, like, you certainly had a relationship with Dale that he was going to now be an advocate for you to Joe Gibbs. I mean, like, when did you and Dale Earnhardt become tight enough for him to say that?
I don't know. I mean, probably wouldn't carry away that first race.
No.
No. I mean, I think it started I remember Dad talking positively about racing you in Daytona in 1990.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they ran a majority of the race together. Like I said, there was this big crash, like second or third or fourth lap, and him and Dad ran first and second for the rest of the race.
Top five for sure.
Yeah, all day. And I remember Dad saying publicly and in media about how impressed he was, and I think that just kind of, you start off on that foot and just build on
Hit to center
that
field.
respect level. You're out there
Should
racing
have
those
no
guys every
problem.
week at that
Puts it
point in
away
the Cup
for the
Series.
out.
Yeah.
He picked that ball
So
right off
so
the
we
bat,
went
can't
from
under for an
went
easy
from
out.
there. I mean, there was a point in
Next,
time that
Lance
was
Berkman.
happening through the Busch Grand National Series, and raced with him at different, not just Daytona, but raced for
They're going to bring a lefty off the bench
92
to
against
face
him,
the right-handed throw.
racing with him at different tracks and all that stuff. Was allowed. I mean, I remember so many races that Dale would run on Saturday, and
that's a
you
strike
race against,
swinging.
so you have that, that time you earn respect, or you race with him and you get to know.
He sees something in you as you're driving through the corner. I mean, something simple
Something
as
like
that.
that.
Fly ball
Because I
taken
think,
to
like,
left.
a good example of that, one of the best, I think,
That'll do
is
it
Jeff
for the
Gordon
inning.
and Jimmy Johnson. Jeff,
With 2
dude,
innings left,
Jeff's not
the
going to
Orioles
watch a
trail
race
by
and go,
7
that
runs.
guy's talented. He's not doing that. But he was on the track with Jimmy in a Busch race, I think, when Jeff was driving that Pepsi 24 car, and he saw Jimmy do something, and he went, he's got it. He's got it. And I think when you're out on the track, you see that. And maybe Dad's seeing that in Bobby. And in sports, if you think joy only happens
Swung out
after
and
you
missed the
win,
pitch on
think
the
again.
corner.
Look at the world's most successful athletes. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like having Michelob Ultra with friends, because they know that happiness is the
The
key to
reliever's
winning.
not
And
ready,
joy
so the manager
is the
is
whole
going
game,
out
not
to
just
the
the end game.
mound to give his
Michelob
bullpen some
Ultra,
more time.
95 calories, 2.6
The pitcher
grams
seemed
of
even
carbs.
more flustered
It's
after
only
that
worth
trip
it
to the
if
mound.
you enjoy it. So, I think
The Red
when
Sox
you
turn
won
it over to
the
the
race
pen.
at Atlanta, your
They're
brother wins
going
the
to the
championship.
10.
Y'all both riding together around the racetrack. We haven't talked much about the relationship between you and your brother. And we'll get to that one day. But what did that feel like? Like what? Try to put that in a basket.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was, in so many different ways, that was huge. I mean, I think of, simple things. It's like, we're trying to win our first race of the year. We haven't won yet. It's like, we got to win. We want to win. Terry's trying to win the championship. So always keep an eyeball on Terry, no matter what.
It's hit
And
to the
so,
left side.
as that morning unfolded, as the race unfolded, when you just go through that day, and what that meant for me, was winning the race, but was more importantly, I think of what was afterwards. And that was in Victory Lane with my parents, our parents. There's a picture of 2 race car drivers that have the same last name, that won on the same day. And our parents were standing right there with us, you know, obviously. And it's like, okay, if you can sit there and freeze this moment, and you just really think about it, how can this ever happen again? Or probably never happen again.
Right.
And it might not ever happen for anybody like that again.
Right.
Bush Brothers, you know, I mean, would be the
sure,
and there'd be more, but that's kind of, you know, what are the chances of that and the odds of that? You know, so it's like, it's kind of like, did that really happen? I mean, did all those chips fall the right way that day to make everything happen like that?
That day, I mean, think about it. It's 15 years before it. Every little chip, every single day, right, puts you in that path.
And that goes back to, you know, a little bit about being being hard on us.
Yeah.
And so you appreciate that, obviously. And my mom's got more bleacher seat time than, you know, most moms. She was there yesterday sitting in the bleacher.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, so you know, that's that moment right there was like, oh man, how in the world did that just happen? You know, and I mean, it was just so legit, so real. So, I mean, I think from the 5 team to the 18 team, just, you know, for all of us and just the camaraderie of both teams competing against each other, but just what a moment that's like, it's a free-for-all for everybody's all in one all of a sudden.
Yeah. When you see, when you watch replays of the Daytona 500 from 1998 and the one that Dad won, you were probably his toughest competitor and came really close at the end of that race. What do you think about when you see that replay? Because we see it a lot.
Yeah, I get reminded that I lost a lot. It seemed like I've only lost once, but it seemed like it reminded I lost a lot.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like when you show the ones I win.
Even though, so I get that exactly. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, I can tell you right now that, you know, I thought for sure that I had the car to beat him that day.
Yes, yeah,
and
faster.
We had one more lap. And when that caution came out, and I thought, you know, I was kind of got jacked up there with Jeremy. And I lost Spencer. But I thought if I could have, you know, if we could have completed that other lap, I don't know what would have happened. Sure. But it's like, man, I won't ever know. And I thought I was so close, and I'd never won the Daytona 500. Never did win the Daytona 500. I never will win the Daytona 500. That was like the best chance, you know, and you never would have known what would happen.
That's interesting.
But what I will say, when it was all said and done, you know, I'm the typical fired up dude that's, you know, mad when you don't win. But I was not as mad as maybe I normally would have been. You know, because it was like, dang it. I hate finishing second. Hate losing, right? Hate losing. But that moment there is like, okay, all right. Because I think I got another shot at winning the Daytona 500. And I still got it. You know? And I was like, okay. All right, I'll give in. This is okay. You know, it's like, okay, I'll give in to this.
It's interesting because we see those clips, you know, take that one for example, and everybody's, you know, that clip is being shared on social media or whatever in a race preview or whatever, and celebrating that moment, but you don't know what everybody else's emotions are about that moment, like him running second in that race. We just recently, they started showing the Atlanta replays and stuff of Harvick beating Jeff Gordon in 2001, and every time I see that, which they play it about every time we go to Atlanta, I think, man, I had a flat tire because Tony Stewart blowed out a brake rotor or something through a bunch of stuff on the track. I'm right in the middle of that battle with like 10 to go, thinking I'm in a great position. My car's really working, and I cut a tire down. So every time I see that, I don't go, man, what a great day! What an awesome day for Harvick and RCR. I go, you know. I think about, man. What if?
Yeah.
On the ground.
But so 2001 Pocono, I got the race sheet.
And he's safe at first.
Learned something that day. I don't know what you thought about it, but I'm to refresh everybody's memory. I think I've got a pretty comfortable lead, and you run me down, and it was just me and you, and I was doing everything I could, blocking, going crazy. You had a way faster car, and you were trying to get to my inside over and over and over, and I kept blocking you and cutting you off. And you come down the short stretch into the tunnel turn, and you went to the high side. And I thought, oh, man, I don't know how this is going to work out. And I thought I went into that corner deep. and I thought I'd carried it down in there far enough to maybe give you like a pause. You know,
He
like,
fouled it off
I have
to the
give
left.
this corner up. But he drove it down in there like way deeper than me. Completely missed the corner, but still beat me on the exit. I don't know how in the hell he
The
did
count
it.
is even
I
at
guess it's
2.
just going around that racetrack more times than I have. And you know what was possible for that corner. But, man, and I was trying to think, that was a great experience for me, and I learned a lot and got, getting beat by you, one of the best in the sport at that time.
That strikeout just gave him the hat
You don't like to lose, but it was fun to be racing one of the big guys in the sport. And I was trying to think if we had any other good
steps into the batter's
battles.
box.
It's kind of funny because I couldn't really think of any. I'm sure there are some, but I couldn't really think of any. We'll race for 15, 20 years and
Nothing like that one.
nothing like that.
I mean, I'm sure we had our battles,
the delivery.
but not for a finish like that.
Right.
Yeah, I
Popped up
don't
in
know if we
foul
had any other.
territory,
Well, I know we didn't
but he
have
has
any other
room for a play.
for the wins,
Yeah.
but I know we had some battles throughout something. You know what I mean?
We
I
never
think
had
that
any
was-
problems though.
Nope.
in the game if you're on the
I'll have to
pitcher's
say
team.
that was. I don't remember anything like that because as well as I do, when you're a driver, you
final
remember
score,
everything
Boston
that
Red
somebody.
Sox,
When somebody hits
11,
you, you'll remember
Baltimore,
who that was
5.
Never
to
forget
the day. You'll never forget it. But when you're racing somebody clean, I don't know how many times Mark Martin, you're racing and race. I can't remember how many times. I just never had a problem with it. And you're the same way. We just never. And that day there, I mean, it was like. If you'd have won and I'd have finished second, that was a great race.
Yeah.
That would have been a great race, right? But because I remember that video, you had your rear camera.
Yes. You're moving back and forth across
I'm
it.
trying to figure it out, and so yeah, those are great battles. But I don't know. I'm sure we had another one somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to that extent.
Well, I was sitting there, and like I said, man, I couldn't believe how deep you drove into the tunnel turn. And I don't even know if you remember much about that, but
Oh, I do.
you buried it.
Yep, that was my shot.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean, it was. I think that was coming for the white. If I remember
Yes.
correctly, yeah. So, and I was always. I never led a lot of laps, but always got to the end, hopefully, to lead that lap or lead that. And I remember it vividly because it's like, all right, coming, get to you, lose the nose a little bit, dive inside, not going to happen, and. I don't know why. The only reason why I went the outside because you gave it to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, either going to stick or ain't going to stick.
Yeah.
So, but luckily I just drove her off in there and it stuck. I probably learned a little bit like, oh, you can go that far.
So you've never driven it that deep into that turn ever before that? Because how confident were you that was going to work?
Well, I'm sure I did, but I didn't make it either. I didn't. It didn't work.
Right, and it worked.
But it worked that time.
I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
And then he come off the corner, and he's like 5 car lengths in front of me, kind of easing away. I'm like, damn, that was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was it.
It's over now.
Yeah, that's always the good feeling on my end.
Oh,
the bad
God.
on your end, and
Yeah.
I've been on that end too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A lot of people were asking that I asked you about that because that's a lot of people's fond memories about me and anything me and you ever did on the racetrack together.
I just can't believe. I guess y'all just raced too clean to not have a single incident. I mean, like I can't remember one either.
I would say that me and Bobby we're kind of similar in how we race on the track and kind of how we handled ourselves off the track. I mentioned that driver's intro stage because that was always a unique dynamic where all the drivers were forced to be in one place at one time, and it was fun to watch how they interacted, whether they were able to be social or it was impossible for them to be social, right? And if you went up and speak to one, what kind of conversation you would get or what you might not get, you learned a lot about your competitors in those moments.
Yeah, you bring up a question to somebody or, hey, how's it going? And sometimes you'd want to get nothing out of somebody or, okay, move on to the next person,
Yes.
And then you had your clique.
Yes,
you'd always talk to,
Who was your clique? Who did you like to talk to?
It's probably DJ.
Yes.
And Mark, Terry, obviously.
How did that go with you and Terry? Because Kurt and Kyle, they don't really kind of mesh well at times on the racetrack. I mean, they seem to be working it out, but over the last couple of years. But even Ward and Jeff talk about being competitive.
Yeah.
How did you and your brother deal with that? I mean, y'all seem to have handled it quite well, but did y'all ever have any kind of tough situations y'all had to talk it through?
Well, I think Terry, if there was if there was anything that I did wrong, he didn't probably beat me up on it.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably didn't tell me. One time at Talladega, I think I wadded up, one of them crashed, kind of running in the back of somebody, and he was in it. And I remember him saying, like one of those things, I probably should have missed that type of thing. I think that was probably the only thing that he's ever really said to me. But, like I said, there might be things he probably thought about, but he maybe just didn't say it.
Yeah.
But that also could be from our dad, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, he never really did, and he always helped me out. So, I mean, it was never a race that, I'm like running. I didn't go, look for Terry's number and where's he at and this and that. So we always made fun of we're the brothers that got along.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unique.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know that some of that was the age gap. And then also, again, our parents.
Yeah.
We're going to let that happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we pretty much just didn't have that built in us. I mean, from the get-go.
You mentioned Talladega. I think that's where I got my revenge for Pocono. I remember passing you in that little
short shoot.
Yep, coming into turn 1.
Yeah, you put me on the apron.
Did I?
Yeah.
Mm,
that's when your dad won.
No, when I won,